back to another week of Autastic, Comedian's Guide to Autism. I am sitting here with my co-host Graham K. My name is Kirk Smith. How's your week, buddy?
Not bad, not bad. How's JJ doing, your son?
Good. We had a good little call today. Today was he called me. We have a set time he's supposed to call, but I feel like normally it's not on they don't nail it. It's 30 minutes before, 30 minutes after, an hour before, after. This time I was on a bike in New York City, heavy traffic. The phone rings. I'm holding on to a city bike, trying to put in earphones, and he was not a fan. He was not a fan of the cacophony of noise under the L here when I was coming to this apartment. I think it's the L. Yeah, I was under the L when he called.
You weren't under the L. You were under the BQE.
BQE.
It's for cars.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You never noticed that it's not a train, it's cars?
That's a good point. It's above. Yeah, I don't know if I've looked up. I just keep my head down, keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's a highway.
I think you're right.
It's a giant highway. Yeah, the L is an underground train. This is wild to me.
What's the above one? 7. The 7's the above one that we get out in Astoria, right?
And also the JMZ is above ground. No, what's wild to me, folks, is that Kirk has been living in this neighborhood. We both live in the same neighborhood for about, 2 years?
More than that, I think, right? Because before that, I lived in Eckford. So that was 3.
Imagine a highway that snakes through your neighborhood.
One of the biggest highways in New York City.
Yeah. It snakes through your neighborhood. Like above ground highway that city streets go under.
It's true. 4-lane highway, 5-lane highway, 6-lane highway.
For 2 years, living within 4 blocks of it, and not knowing that it's a highway.
Thinking it's a train.
Thinking it's trains. That is wild to me. And you thinking it's the L train? I mean, that's so funny because it's like clearly... That means you have no sense of direction.
Not true. Very good at maps. Looking up, not as good. I got a lot of neck pain.
Yeah.
A lot of neck pain.
Anyway, so I got trapped underneath this train, and all these truck noises set my autistic son off.
He was not a fan of the noises during the call.
Yeah.
So I had to quickly get out from underneath that overpass. I think he's doing good. You know, I spoke on this 3 weeks ago. You know, when he was younger, he was very animated and agitated. And now he's very calm. You know, he's on a mood stabilizer. I know we've talked about that before, but
is it working?
Yeah, his mood's good. He's in a good mood.
No,
very calm.
I remember there was a big concern a few years ago when he started about there being, inflaming his epilepsy, or like him having seizures. Yeah, and that was a side effect that we were worried about. But we also needed the mood stabilizers, so. It was like, what's worse? And then, so it seems like it's just stabilizing the mood, no extra seizures.
Yeah, when I talked to the doctor, and I was like, I'm concerned about unknown side effects because he's nonverbal, and he's like, well, excuse me. I prescribed these to over 1,000 people with autism or something, and we haven't. So then it made me feel better. I'm like, okay, so you've prescribed this a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's doing good. I'm there in 10 days. I think, is that right? Maybe about 10 days.
I don't know.
I go there for a week.
Wow,
week
that's
in
a long
Europe.
one.
Yeah.
And
well, by the time I get there, it takes a day because. I lose a day on the way out. Time, you lose the 6 hours, and it's an 8-hour flight, and then it's a 3-hour train ride after the flight. So it's a long.
Yeah, you have to
journey.
go. You land in Stockholm, and then you got to take a train to Sundsvall.
Sundsvall, yeah.
Sundsvall.
Yeah, no T. But
and you say Sundsvall?
Sundsvall, yeah. Sundsvall. You're saying it like sprockets, the German sprockets.
There's only one way to say it.
Dressed in leather.
Yeah.
What? Or really tight plastic.
So that's how I imagine everyone in Sweden. They're just all dressed in pleather.
Oh, in salmon-colored pleather pants. Yeah. A lot of salmon-colored pants over there, to be honest. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. We've got our little. I told him today. I've got scheduling is a thing where you try not to surprise them. So you try to tell them, we've got these countdown clocks. That's a big thing. But I go, I told him the schedule. We're going to go to the park, and maybe we'll, I'm trying to use some like trigger not trigger words, but like words that he might recognize and get excited about. Like, we're going to go to the water park and maybe we'll stop and get ice cream, because usually you get a reaction of ice cream. Usually he'll look up. But nothing today. No looking up from the ice cream.
Well, there was the overpass.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's a straight. I don't like going underneath that thing. It sucks.
Well, I'm always afraid some bit of sewage is going to fall on me or something. The late Vic Henley, very funny comic from is it Mississippi? No, Alabama. From Alabama. And he used to have a bit about something drips on your head, just assume it's air conditioned. Just keep walking. Just hope that's air conditioned. That's air conditioned. Just keep walking. You don't have a bald spot there in 3 weeks, you won. Or something like that.
Yep.
Great bit. It's air conditioned. Just don't even think about it. It's air conditioning. You're hoping it's water condensation, not who knows what else dripping in your head as you're walking through Manhattan.
I saw a list of things that people don't like about New York summers, and one of them is gross drips.
Yeah, things just dripping on you. You're walking around like, what is that?
And in the subway, the ceiling drips.
Yes.
Sometimes.
That's not air conditioning.
No. Yep. Anyway.
But I think he's doing good. We fixed his car. That was the concern. He's got a 20-year-old. I think it's a 2003 little rally car, a little Suzuki Swift. We got it fixed.
That you bought him so his caretakers can drive. If you're a new listener, his son cannot drive.
No, he can't. Non-dry. He loves to ride in the car. That's probably one of his favorite things.
Mm-hmm.
If you, since he was a little kid, when he was having a meltdown, like you take him for an hour drive, he just likes to look out the window, and he's got his own little earbuds.
Mm-hmm.
That's a new thing I'm testing out. I bought 2 sets. This is going to make me sound like such an old man, but technology's gotten so cheap. I've got 2 sets of knockoff AirPods, or whatever you want to call them.
Wireless earphones.
Wireless earphones. $17. So we're going to try them.
For 2 pair?
Each. But I'm like, for $17, we're going to try these, because the main thing that breaks is the wires. I'm like, we're going to try something new.
I mean, he's going to lose those.
They're $17, so.
Yeah. Okay, good luck.
I got to buy him something.
Mm-hmm. He's got to figure out how to pair it.
I have to show him how
Do you think he knows how to pair it?
Through buying things. I'm a father. That's how it works.
Sure, yeah.
No, he definitely doesn't know how to pair. But once you pair it once, it's like, and then there's certain sets that he just gets when he goes out. So that could be like a driving pair. I don't know. It could be a mistake. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, Graham.
Yeah, sure have. No, that's exciting.
And Legos. That's the new thing we're going to try this summer. If you have Lego suggestions, I'm open to them.
He's not going to eat them and put them in his mouth.
Well, we talked about this a few months ago, but at Christmas, one of his mom's kind of cousins bought him a little tiny, the little tiny 6-inch by 4-inch little box of Legos with a motorcycle, and he made it, or he tried to make it, and he had a little help, and then he set it up, and so it's just sitting there. Like, he likes to just leave it. It's assembled. Don't touch it. So, and if you touch it, he puts it back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, don't move that. That's there.
Like Peter does that with his stuff, with his figurines and Legos and stuff.
Right. So I'm hoping we can do, I don't know what the new Lego thing is, but whatever the thing was 6 months ago, it's now on sale. We'll get him the Lego thing.
Yeah.
He'll assemble it. And
well, hopefully it goes better than the Lego my parents bought him, my brother.
Did he eat it?
No, he donated it to Salvation Army. The thing was like $100.
Fish it out.
My mom got him to have to go reach back into the Salvation Army drop box. Looks like he was stealing from the Salvation Army. Brand new in the box. And then yesterday I was FaceTiming with him or whatever, WhatsApp video chatting with him, and he was like, "Want to see my new setup?" Because he moved his figurines around, and I was like, I thought through the little blurry video that was the helmet because it was a Star Wars helmet made out of Lego.
Which figure? Darth Vader?
No, we went the X-wing fighter helmet.
Okay.
So, and it has like a little pedestal, and it looked cool on the picture of the box. I thought, oh, he assembled it, and I was like, show me the helmet. He's like, what helmet? And he goes, that's the Death Star. I bought him a Death Star thing. I go, where's the helmet? He goes, at Mom and Dad's house. Oh, it's at Mom and Dad. So when they went down south.
Let me ask you this. There's a new show out called Mandalorian. Is he watching it?
I've tried to get him to watch it
He
several
won't.
times. He won't
Because
do it.
that's clearly aimed at kids. Like
Yeah.
the way they explain the plot and stuff,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like, and I'm like, oh, it's because I'm an old man. They're not aiming this at me.
It's so funny to watch 40-year-old men complain about it on Twitter.
It's so mad.
And you're like, it's always been for children, dude.
for
That's
kids,
why we
yeah.
liked it.
Yeah.
So
The plot is so simplistically, they repeat the things. We can't go. The explosions will alert the animal. Like the way they explain things
yeah,
is like,
yeah.
It's make sure they really spell it out.
It's perfect. So I know that, and I've been trying to get him to watch it.
Nothing, huh?
And he just doesn't. He won't do it. He just doesn't. He will not do new stuff. There's a war on new stuff. We're stuck at about 1994 here, and it's just not. All he wants to do is watch TV commercials of toys from the 90s that don't exist on YouTube. And he wants to watch Inspector Gadget. He wants to watch a Canadian cartoon from the early 90s called Cops. Fighting crime in the future time. Cops. And
wait a minute, it's a Canadian future version of Cops?
It has nothing to do with Canada, but it was produced and made in Canada with Canadian voice actors.
Okay.
And it did not air in America.
Got it.
And it's
this
about
isn't our version of Cops, people walking around with wife beaters and stuff at trailer parks to get arrested.
No.
Okay.
It is fighting crime in the future.
Okay.
And it's
in the distant 2025 or what?
About that, yeah. And he's the main bad guy is Uncle Big Boss.
Okay.
And his two henchmen are one of them is Berserko. So I know that because I always have to pretend to be Berserko on the phone.
Got it.
And he's always like, my brother's my Uncle Big Boss, and he's like, Berserko, you failed me again. And I'm like, oh, Uncle Big Boss, I'm sorry.
It's a very specific Venn diagram. People who like that and 1980s toys. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a lot of people in the world right now who love that show and watch it on YouTube and also like breasts. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Unless they're nursing. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
that's my guy.
It sounds like he's doing great. He is doing great.
He is doing great. He's doing great. Trying to get him to play another sport. I mean, every time we talk, he talks about women, and I'm like, if you want, he's like, I don't want a girlfriend. It's too complicated or whatever. And I'm like, he's like, it's too hard to find a woman with a disability that's
a good fit.
That isn't like, he doesn't say it this eloquently. Not that I'm worried about what I'm saying is eloquently, but basically what he's saying is it's too hard to find the right type of autism.
Yeah,
that matches him.
That they're similar. Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to date someone who lives at home, or lives in a half, like not a halfway house, but like a
group home.
A group
like
home.
Son, yeah.
Or still lives with their parents. And I don't want to date someone who's too young. And I'm like, if you find a cool girl who's 28, or if she's 45, take that.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It is funny. I was thinking about, we talk about levels of disability, but like if Peter came to visit JJ in Sweden, they're both on the spectrum. They'll look at each other and then immediately tune out and do something else.
Oh, yeah.
They'd immediately tune out to their own YouTube
Yeah,
visions.
the level is not the same.
No.
Yeah.
JJ would go over to his Prince of Egypt, and then your brother would go over to his thing. And
Pete might like the Prince of Egypt. I don't
You
know.
think so?
I don't know if he knows about it.
Bro, the voice actors, I'm telling you, there's probably 20,
I know,
there's 20 ringers in there.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, you did a big
the big reveal,
impromptu push for people to watch the Prince of Egypt. Yeah.
Great movie, and if you're religious like I am, biblically accurate. Well, at least they don't deviate from this. I mean, at least plausible.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't like the Noah one that made a lot of Christians angry. Although that's way off the subject. Let's get back to autism. We have in the news, we've got several articles to choose from. We've got a serious one, and then we've got one about the NBA champs. Want to do the serious one first?
Do the serious one.
This is CNN Health, which we don't honestly do a lot of CNN for whatever reason. Study finds slightly higher risks of autism diagnosis in areas with more lithium in drinking water, but experts say more research is needed. This was on several sites, to be fair, but CNN seems like a reputable source, and it was the one I like to spread it out so we don't always do the same 2 or 3 websites. A new study found a moderately higher risk of autism spectrum disorder in children born to pregnant people exposed to tap water with higher levels of lithium, but experts caution that this association does not show a direct link between the two. We talked about this before too. Causation versus causality. Is that right? No, causation versus.
We'll just do this for the next 5
All
minutes.
right, sorry.
Yep.
About 1 in 36 children in the U.S. are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder each year, according to the data from the U.S. Center of Disease Control and Prevention. Scientists still don't know the exact cause of autism, a developmental disorder. Genetics may be a factor, but some have been looking at other potential environmental causes too. Cases may be on the rise, but it's also unclear. One study published this year on cases in the New York, New Jersey area found that autism rates tripled among certain age groups between 2000 and 2016. Okay, I'm going to jump forward to the part that we're talking about. Lithium. Okay. Lithium is an alkaline metal that can be found naturally in some foods and groundwater. It's used in batteries, grease, and air conditioners, as well as the treatment of bipolar disorder and some blood disorders. Its level in U.S. drinking waters are not regulated, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. A new study published Monday on the journal JAMA Pediatrics, JAMA maybe, found a small association between lithium and autism diagnosis in Denmark, where researchers say the level of lithium in drinking water is similar to that in American drinking systems. Researchers checked on a database of people with psychiatric disorders for children born between 2000 and 2013 to find information on 8,842 cases of ASD and 43,864 participants who did not have ASD. They then measured the concentration of lithium in 151 public waterworks that served more than half the Danish population and mapped out where pregnant people lived in relation to this. As lithium levels in the water increased, there was a modest increase in the risk of ASD diagnosis, specifically compared to people at the lowest exposure level. Those who had the second and third highest exposure level of pregnancy had a 24 to 26% higher risk of ASD diagnosis in children. The group with the highest exposure had a 46% higher risk than those at the lowest level. I mean, they say that's mild, but that's, I feel like, significant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a statistical rounding error of 3%. I mean, going from 24 to 46. The researchers could not tell how much water the pregnant people drank. That's a good point. But they picked Denmark in part because the residents there consume the lowest amounts of bottled water in Europe. Good point. Good catch. Experts say it's important to note that the research cannot show that lithium exposures leads directly to an autism diagnosis. Further studies required, and study co-author and Dr. Beat Ritz, a professor of neurology at David Geff School of Medicine, UCLA, and a professor of epidemiology and environmental health at UCLA, Fielding School of Public Health. Quote, any drinking water contaminants that may affect the developmental brain deserve intense scrutiny, she said at the news release. She added that the research would need to be replicated in other countries to look for similar connections. The implications of these findings are as complex as the public field policy is concerned. Is complex as far as public health policy is concerned, according to the editorial published alongside the study. Lithium levels in water at concentrations that the study associate with potential risks have also been linked with health benefits, such as lower rates of psychiatric disorders and suicide. If all these associations are valid, the wisdom of Solomon will be required to develop guidelines for lithium drinking water for maximal protective at the entire that are maximally protective at the entire population. All right, I feel like it's missing something there, but I'm reading what it says. Wrote Dr. David C. Bellinger.
Typical CNN.
Missing a verb. A professor of neurology and psychology at Harvard Medical School. Until the basic biology of ASD is better understood, it will be difficult to distinguish causal from spurious associations. Okay, let's jump forward a little bit. Oh boy, this is going to look. Dr. Matt Weisenzer, director of Rainbow Autism Center at the University of Hospitals Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital in Cleveland, points to other research on the effects of lithium in pregnant people who take it for medical health disorders. Those studies look at people exposed to much higher levels than are found in drinking water and do not show a connection with autism. It's an interesting association, but causality is definitely not proven, says the doctor who is not involved in the research. We have to see if it's viable and biologically plausible mechanism by which such a small amount of lithium in a water supply can somehow do this, yet pharmacological dosing of lithium in women with bipolar disorder has not been reported to be causing an increased risk in ASD. Other studies have also suggested a connection between ASD and environmental exposure to things such as pesticides, air pollution, and phthalates, PHTHALATES, but none of these point to any of the factors that can directly cause the disorder. The link between environmental disorder and ASD is hard to prove. Okay, I'm going to jump through here where it's hard to prove. There's a lot of speculation about other environmental factors, but how many of these are truly causally associated? We are bombarded with a variety of environmental stressors in our everyday lives, and we have to figure out how to basically safely navigate them. This is probably not one that's high on our list, said Dr. Weisnitzer. You know what I'm going to ask next?
Oh, it's over?
It's over. What do you think?
You really petered out at the end. I felt like you lost steam. Are you okay?
Did you think so? Are you
Yeah.
kicking me? What's happening?
Oh,
you
sorry.
putting your legs on me? Is that not that kind of podcast? Well, I feel like
I accidentally kicked him.
they built it up at the beginning, and then at the end, he kind of goes, "Yeah, we're not sure if it's causal." So wait a minute, like we read this whole article, and now you're not sure? Anyway, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have petered out. I was just thinking about while I was reading it, like what the implications are, because also lithium that they described. JJ's mom took lithium because they do use it to treat bipolar.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But not when she was pregnant. I mean, later in life.
But is lithium the
So I'm
same
familiar with
as having lithium, like the metal lithium in the water? Is the pill lithium? I thought lithium was just the name of a medication that happened to have the same name as the.
No, I believe it's a metal, like it says, an alkaloid. Is that what they called it?
Yeah.
And then they do prescribe it for, I believe, bipolar and borderline.
Wow.
And
I didn't realize that the medication was actually lithium.
yeah, because the medication will be called something else, but it's the active ingredient is lithium.
Wow.
Lithium's,
That's very interesting.
yeah.
So maybe the lithium caused that, you think?
I mean, that's what they're talking about. So
How do you feel about that?
well, I mean, it didn't cause it with my son because she didn't start taking it until after he was already born. So and stopped breastfeeding, and yeah, she developed, and she got depressed later in life. He was already but I'm saying I'm familiar with what that is. I'm googling as we're talking about here. Lithium is taken orally. Common side effects include increased urination, shakiness of the hands.
Okay, but it has nothing to do with this. Then.
No,
No.
but I was just saying I'm familiar with it as it relates to JJ's mom.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. It is, and I know I said this before, but it is interesting how I'm sure we're going to look back at this period of history and go, how did they not know? They hadn't figured out a way to test for autism, what caused it, and what was causing it. And it is very interesting. It reminds me of a Simpsons episode where I think it's the one where Lisa in the future is president, and everybody's eyeballs have fallen out. And they go, why is everybody's eyeballs fall out? Oh, nobody knew that LASIK makes your eyeballs fall out 20 years later. It makes me think of that, where it's like we're gonna see at some point something's gonna happen, and everybody's gonna be like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I hope it's not like some conspiracy theorist that's correct.
Not a conspiracy theorist, but
I hope it's not like, see,
well, we've talked about this, but
the
lead.
tap water. I told you it was making men infertile.
But if you read like,
no, the biggest morons are right.
but if you read that lead, before lead they became put in gasoline, there was a lady. There's a bunch of really great podcasts about this, but there's a lady who kept saying it's poison, and the guy that the big oil hired to say that lead wasn't, because the reason they put lead in is because it would stop engines from knocking. It Anyway, it's a different. We don't have to get in the engineering of that. But and so he would like, oh, see, there's nothing. He'd put his hands in lead and stuff, and like, oh, it's safe to breathe, and the guy dies of cancer like it's 60.
Yeah.
So it's like we knew lead was bad when they put it in the, and once they put it in the gas and you burn it and it's in everything. I know we've done a few episodes on this, 100 episodes ago, but I think that's a plausible explanation. There's lead in everything now since the 19 whatever that was.
Yeah.
40s?
It also causes
All sorts of birth
Alzheimer's.
defects and Alzheimer's, and yeah, nobody's going to argue with you. No, lead's fine.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
That's why I do deodorant, not antiperspirant.
That's aluminum.
Oops. Yeah, that causes Alzheimer's.
Yeah. Aluminum, yeah, it can.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the other article?
This is not a science
This is
podcast. We are truly too. So do not
idiots.
write things down. I mean, the only thing
Don't write things down.
Well, like if I say offhand that it's lead that causes Alzheimer's, don't be like, The only thing that is true is the articles we read that are written by
We're reading them verbatim, so
written by people who have interviewed scientists,
actual professionals.
Yeah, we are everything we talk about is anecdotal. Our experiences with my brother or your son, and you're going to see my brother this summer.
I know, Summer of Pete.
I'm going to get him to come to your show and heckle you.
Oh, right. I thought you were saying he's coming here, but he's going to come to Ottawa.
Yeah.
Please tell him not to heckle to the end of the set.
It's always the summer of Pete.
You know what I was thinking too? I need to talk about do this off air, but I think I'm going to record another album up there. And I was like, what if I'm doing like killing, and then Pete stands up right in the middle of a great joke I need and goes, "Do you know Graham?"
Yeah, no, he knows not to do that. He'll come up to you after.
That's so great.
He's a good audience member. He just waits for people to laugh and then he laughs. So you might get a couple delayed ha ha ha.
Oh, I had
just a little bit behind everybody else.
I was on a cruise ship. I got off yesterday, and there was a kid dressed in a leopard pajamas uniform that came to my clean show who's 3. And he's in the front row. And so, I try to be friendly and talk to him a little bit. You feel like at a Chuck E. Cheese.
How old is this kid?
3. No, he was 4. He was 4.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the clean show, but, I'm talking about cars or dating, or the kids don't date. They don't vote. So they don't understand any of the jokes. Mm-hmm. However, every time I would pause, he'd be like, ha, 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 ha. This little kid laughed. And about halfway through, I called it out. I'm like, there's no way this kid understands his jokes. And he chimes in, ha, 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 ha. And so the rest of the set was just me saying a joke. Everybody would laugh. And then sure enough, the kid would come in like 5 seconds later. It was the cutest thing. The kid saved me because that was a rough set. And the kid saved me.
Yeah.
Oh, it was fun.
Nice. Well,
do we have time for this other article?
Well, I'll just paraphrase it. So this is about multiple time NBA champ and All-Star.
What team is this?
All defensive forward Draymond Green for the Golden State Warriors. Kirk's favorite team, even though he's not from San Francisco or California.
I played basketball in Santa Cruz, and I used to follow them back when it was Run TMC, Chris Mullen, Tim Hardaway, and Mitch Richmond.
God,
I'm not a front runner.
Oh, my God.
I know. I was at the gym with my original shorts, and the guy goes, "Oh, I love those throwback shorts." I'm like, "These are not throwback. I've had these for 30 years." Anyway.
That's hilarious. So funny. Anyway, Draymond Green was tells a story that he was for his college teammate. He was always like he like ribs people, needles them. It's like part of his thing. He like gets under your skin, trash talker. And even with his own teammates, like in the weight room, he was doing that in college for I believe the Spartans. And then one day, a guy came up to him, like one of his teammates was like got in his face and was like, "Hey, you don't do that to me, whatever." And then his coach pulled his name. The teammate's name was Anthony Lanny, and his coach pulled him aside and said, "Hey, Anthony is autistic. Everything is black and white for him. He doesn't understand the gray area. Like he thinks everything you're saying is true." And like Anthony was ready to fight him. And then ever since that, Draymond like didn't really understand about autism, and then became like his protector, I guess, and would help motivate him and stuff, and be like, keep going. And they interview Anthony, and he's like, yeah, he's a good guy, and he got it. So obviously Anthony's pretty high on the spectrum. And then it just goes on to say that Draymond Green, flash forward to 12 years later, 13 years later, today, present time, he was approached by these two filmmakers to produce their film, and then he said, "quote Yeah, I would like to produce it, so long as I could play myself." All right, it's very good of you, I guess. Um, Anyway, so he's helped produced it, and the two filmmakers are, Jabari Daniels and Ronald Hicks. So they have a project coming out. Yeah. So check that. Look for that. It doesn't have a name yet, but he's putting his money where his mouth is, and helping these two filmmakers who are on the spectrum, and obviously higher on the spectrum, produce a film. And I think that's nice.
Yeah, it's April. It's Autism Awareness Month.
It's about awareness. This is somebody
And
who wouldn't do that unless he was made aware about autism earlier on. Anyway.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's Autism Awareness Month, and I feel like people are coming out their stories of things they're doing, and I think it's great. I think you're absolutely right. I think it's about awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did it, buddy.
Yeah, I think we did it. I have a show in Chicago, April 12th.
Boom.
At Zany's. Come check it out if you are in the Chicago area. I just got an email from the booker for the show, and she says that there are 0 sales. So if you live in the Chicago area,
really?
Please, yeah, 0. Please come on out. Yeah. So
this business is so wild.
It's wild. Anyway, come check me out. It might be a private show.
You just perform for a stadium of 30,000 people or something.
10,000.
10,000.
But I'm opening for a famous guy.
Yeah, but you're not doing a minute.
Yeah, I'm very good. It's just no one really knows I do comedy, so somehow I got to get people to know I do comedy. Anyway.
This business is insane.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've plugged this show twice. I'm going to keep plugging it. Graham did earlier. Absolute Comedy in Ottawa, August 29th, 30th, 31st, September 1st, 2nd. Come see me. Nobody knows me in Canada or America either, but it's going to be great. I think that's it, guys.
Yeah, come check us out, and follow me on Instagram, Mr. Graham K. Follow Kirk Smith Comedy.
Take a second, add me on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe. Let those videos run. I'd appreciate it, guys. Have a great week. You can do it.